Okay, so today I'm going to disassemble and maintain this Civivi Baklash. Now most of you will see that I got this knife in a mail call from my good friend Big Red EDC. In fact, this is his information. Big Red EDC is his YouTube, and at Big Red EDC, no spaces, no underscores, or anything, is his Instagram. I highly recommend that you go check out his content. He's a really good guy, and he's ex-military, which I just love having ex-military friends because they are some of the most amazing people I've ever known. He was so generous to send me 4 knives, which I am going to do disassemblies of. The first one is of the Baklash. So now it's time to get into the disassembly. This knife has an amazing action, but sometimes there's like a bearing or something that scratches, or something is in the bearings and it's scratching. So I'm thinking that just a drop of oil will help, and it did for the most part, but I still get the scratching from time to time, mostly when I close this. It's about this far, and then I get a scratch about right here. It's not doing that right now, and it's not loud enough for the camera to pick it up. So I either use this little Weehaw and Boker branded tool, or the Kershaw TX tools, or some Ace hardware. Little things, little drivers. The mostly used are the T6 and then a T8. So I will sometimes use that. The T6 is getting stripped on this set, so I'm starting on these, and this T6 is working out really well for me. And Weehaw, I'm not sponsored by them, I wish I was, but Weehaw tools are some of the best tools around, especially little bits. So getting in here, this is a T8, and these are 2 T6s. I can go at it from this side with these 2 screws, but occasionally well, not occasionally, but most of the time you can do it from this side. But now makers are starting to put a decorative pivot on this side, like this Civivi and this Artisan. I really like that. It's really cool. And then the other side is just a a Torx screw. So I'm going to get in here. That is not a T8. Let me see. That is a T10 bit. Alright. Yep, that's a T8. This is what I really love about the TX tool, is that it literally takes only a second or 2 to unscrew this and get the right bit. So that's a lot better. I can feel that there's some Loctite on there. Ooh, actually quite a bit. We'll get to clean that off pretty good here in a second. Put that there. And on my mat, I have 4 slots up here. Well, 5 technically. But I like to put that driver there. Let me put this back in the right spot. There we go. Alright. So I will put the screws up here, and if I have more than 3 or 4, I will start putting them in these. There are 124 different slots, and if you have to fill this whole thing up with knife parts, you're gonna have a problem. Oh, you know what? I was wrong. These are T8s. Oh. Well, that's really nice. So I'm going to put that one off to the side there. This one took a little bit to come out, probably because it's so close to the pocket clip. But there we go. Now I can start to take this knife apart, hopefully. Come on. I got the back off. I have to get a little pry tool. And what I recommend you do is you buy a little phone disassembly set, and you can get some really good little screws in there for small ass screws. Some guitar pick looking things to lift up screens. But really all I need out of this is this little pry tool. There we go. Almost cut my finger off in process. Ooh, this be dirty. But you can see the extensive internal milling on this. I mean, this knife is already so light to begin with. There we go. Backspacer. Stop pin. That's in there. Pivot is coming out. I don't know if I can show you this. Maybe. But what WE does for both their Civivi line and their WE line is they cut out a little shelf in the decorative side so that it's non-free spinning. I love that. That's really cool. So what I like to do is I just take one part of a paper towel. It just happens to be a pick a size. So I take one of those and I rip it in half to make it half so I can do 2 disassemblies without wasting an entire size roll. Then I take some isopropyl alcohol. This just happens to be 50%. It's what I got at Walmart. So first I will do the bearings. And then under a dry part with a paper towel. I like to do that with the bearings. And I do that again. And again. Washers are done. Then I pick this up. I clean off the scale. This just so happens to be soaking with alcohol. Then I clean off this side. Make sure to get that cleaned off really well. Wipe the inside there. Wipe that side there. And the alcohol should evaporate pretty fast, but it's a 50%. So it's half water, half alcohol. Okay, there we go. I need a Q-tip. I just have a bag of Q-tips. I steal a whole bunch when we get a new pack. Let this soak up some. Go through the pivot. Wipe it around. Well, the blade, not the pivot. Wipe that out. Then I take the dry side. And I wipe it. And now it's pretty much clean. And of course, like me, I put too much alcohol in there. In there. Since this is a stainless steel, I don't have to put any, like a frog lube is what I use. You can also use EDCI. They are both food safe now. But I like to put a little bit, let it run. Go on the other side. Put a little bit there. Just wipe it. There's quite a crap ton on this. And on my fingers now. But it smells really good. It smells like wintergreen. So I let this sit for about 10 to 20 seconds. I'm impatient. That probably wasn't even 10 seconds, but there we go. So it's time to put everything back together again, except for cleaning off this pivot. Let me do that real quick. Yeah, that pivot wasn't too nasty, but I got it put back together. And the oil I use is Hoppies, whatever you want, number 9 lubricating oil. I got this little needle tip applicator, and yeah, there it is. A big ass bottle of it. It's a high viscosity and has really good penetration. So I'm going to put this back together. Make sure to get the pivot back in alignment. There we go. I got it back in, make sure it's flush. And then I usually put 1, 2 dots. I don't know if it really matters, but the open end I always put towards the scales. Put a dot on the pivot itself. Run it around. There it is. There's the blade. Put it back all the way. There's still a crap ton of alcohol there. I put a drop there, And a drop right there. That was a big drop. Put the backspacer back in. It's all the way in. And again, the open side goes there. I like to put a dot of oil in the tent ball hole and drag a little bit out. Then I put everything back together. Make sure you get the pivot in first. Now, I would put Loctite on this, but I'm going to sharpen this later. So, it's not really going to matter too much. That is very tight. Okay, I'll fix that later. Take your screw. You don't necessarily have to Loctite the back screws. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I don't. You keep throwing the knife around. That's great, Nick. Now that's in. Okay, you can see that's way too tight. Still. Pull that out. You know what? There we go. Let me see if I can back that off a tiny bit. Oh yeah, that is way smoother. Oh, there's some blade play. Tighten that up just a tiny bit. No blade play. I mean, come on. And there you go. Like, Wii just makes it so easy for you to take apart your knives and put them back together. So, make sure you guys follow me on Instagram as well at Ohio_knife_lover. And please leave a comment down below. Subscribe if you want to. Like or dislike. It really helps me understand what you guys like. So, thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch someone take apart a knife that you've probably already seen a whole bunch of. But it's my own take on it.